Hello, I'm Nancy Grace, joining you from MSM. We're starting off with missing Shayna Feinman, and joining me is her sister, Kara. Thank you for being with us. Tell me when you first learned your sister is missing.
I first heard that my sister was missing on um, March 19th. I believe that was a Tuesday. I got a phone call from one of her friends telling me that, asking if I had heard from her, because they were unable to get in touch with her and they were super concerned. At that point, a police report had been made, and shortly after, I spoke with the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, so a report had already been made, a missing persons report.
Correct.
Okay, this is what we know. Take a listen to Dave Mack, Crime Online.
At 35 years old, Shayna Feinman knows what she likes to do. She loves to hike and camp, but she's cautious, always prepared. Before she takes off for a week or so hiking and camping, she has her camping gear, supplies, cell phone, charger, her dog, and she lets her family and friends know where she's going and when to expect her back. Nobody really thinks much when they see Shayna Feinman head off into the woods on March 9th.
Joining me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. Joining us, Kara Feinman. This is Shayna's sister asking for your help. Tip line 928-771-3260. Repeat 928-771-3260. Nicole Parton joining me right now, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. Nicole, what do we know?
Well, we know that Shayna was a certified survivalist. So this is not like me or you just heading out to camp. She was well prepared, well trained. We know that there are witnesses who say that she left the area where she was staying on March the 9th. She went with the clothes on her back. She took her cell phone. She took a battery pack and a cord. She left her dog behind, but she went out into the woods. A few things that her friends are saying were very peculiar about that. She usually takes her dog with her. But we know that she knew how to survive, but this particular trip was off because of the things that she didn't take, as opposed to how she usually travels.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, typically she would go out with her camping gear. She would take the tent, she would take the food, she would take clothing. But this time she was just wearing the clothes on her back when she disappeared. She did have her cell phone. She did have a charging battery station and a cord. She left her dog behind. So it's not believed that she was intending to be gone for a long period of time.
You know, that doesn't make sense. It's quite the dichotomy, Nicole Parton, that she heads into the woods, but she takes a charging battery and cord. That doesn't make sense to me. Let me think on that for just a moment. Kara Feinman is joining us, Shayna Feinman's sister. How often did the two of you typically speak to each other via text, email, or phone?
So at the time leading up to her disappearance, unfortunately, we weren't speaking as regularly. But I did have a text message. I texted with her on March 8th, and that was my last
So you
communication.
spoke with her on March 8th. When you tried to call her after that, did the phone go straight to voicemail? Did it ring? What message did you get when you tried to call her?
It went straight to voicemail.
Straight to voicemail. That could mean any number of things, but none of them are good in this scenario. Joining me, guys, is a longtime colleague, now friend, Kris McDonough, director at the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective, and host of the YouTube channel, The Interview Room. Kris McDonough, you and I have tracked a lot of missing people together. What do you make of this so far?
Well, right off the bat, Nancy, I mean, there's some huge red flags that are jumping out at us. Obviously, the first one is the fact that she is a trained survivalist. I have to agree with Nicole 100%. If she only took a few of those items, like her cell phone, the charger pack, etc., it sounds like she was just going for a short distance. So one of the things I think you and I would both want to know from the get-go is what's been her habit pattern in the past. when if she has left things behind. And I think the dog is also a huge red flag that the pup didn't go with her.
Very unusual that the dog didn't go with her. Guys, take a listen to our friend Rachel Bonilla.
Living on a 40-acre spread with several other people can give you the privacy you seek, but safety of people nearby. About a week after Shayna walked into the woods, a friend who was watching her dog shows up, concerned. She hasn't heard from Shayna. Friends head towards where Shayna Feinman lives on the property and are shocked to see her car nearby. They thought she took the car with her when she went camping. Inside the car, they find her camping gear, wallet, and passport. They realize Shayna Feinman has been gone for a week, and the last thing anyone remembers is her walking into the woods.
Okay, explain to me, Kira Feinman, this is Shayna's sister, asking for your help today. Explain to me her living situation.
So she was living on a 40-acre parcel of land with her partner, and they were staying there in exchange for housing. They were cleaning up the land, cleaning up the property. When they had first moved there back on around October of last year, there were squatters on the property, so they were working to get the squatters off and clean up the property.
Uh-oh, hold on just a moment. Squatters on the property. I don't like that. Dave Mack, joining me, crimeonline.com, investigative reporter. Dave Mack, you and I just covered a squatter turned murder case. Because if somebody's going to squat on your land and try to take over your land out from under you, what else will they do, Dave Mack? That's my first question here.
Mine as well, because you've got a controlled area where everybody kind of looked after one another, from what we understand, and that's why there was a shock when a week into it, when she hasn't come back for her dog, and they realized she's been gone a week and they didn't even know it. Now, 3 days after they start looking, her battery pack for her phone turns up, Nancy, but not the phone. They still haven't found the phone.
Battery pack turns up where? Dave Mack or Nicole Parton, do you know where the battery pack was found? That would tell me the direction she was going, maybe. Do you know?
No, I don't. Kara, did you have it?
So I have, that story is also not clear. I've been told a couple different things, that the battery pack, so it wasn't just, I've come to find out it wasn't just a phone battery pack. It was a Ryobi portable battery pack, like one with a handle that you can use to charge like tools and things like that she had walked off with. So I was told originally that it was left on the side of the road. And then I was told that it was left at the end of the driveway with the intention of the partner finding it, as though it was placed there while Shayna was on her way out of town. And then I was told it was on the side of the road next to a tree.
Okay, wait a minute. This is starting to sound staged.
Yeah.
Not that Shayna would stage it. Does everybody remember Sherry Papini? And the husband finds her cell phone on the side of the road. That's bad enough. But then what threw me off was that the ear cords, she was using ear cords, not pods, had been neatly wrapped around the phone and placed on a mailbox or something like that for somebody to find. That wasn't ripped out of her ear with hair stuck on it. That was staged. When I heard that, that raised a red flag for me. Here, it's not raising a red flag that Shayna staged her disappearance at all, because she would never leave the dog. Never would she have left the dog. And I know that about her from looking into her history. So tell me again, this is very curious, Kara, where that charger was. And when you say a charger, what do you mean by a charger? It's not like a little square that sits on the back of your phone. What is it?
So it's like a Ryobi charging block that has a handle on it that can be used. It had 2 little USB outlets, so you could charge your phone on it, but it was also able to charge different kinds of tools like drills and things like that. Also, something that's really odd is that when it did turn back up, it had a charge left on it.
So the portable charger had a charge left on it, and I'm trying to imagine what you're talking about. Is it a block?
I have a picture on my phone if you'd like me to pull it up for
Great.
you.
I'd love to see it. Is an oblong block, because I have one of those, but I keep it in my car. And you can plug in things like you plug them into the wall, but it gets its power from the car. You plug it into the cigarette lighter in the car, and then you can plug. It's got ports on it, and it's got plug-ins on it. That's what it charges. So I would love to see the picture. What is it?
This is the picture that I have from somebody that was living on the property. They found the exact one and sent me a photo of it. So it's a Ryobi.
That's very helpful.
Yeah, a Ryobi.
That's very helpful.
800 watt automotive power inverter.
How big is that? How big is it?
My assumption is probably about this big.
Okay.
So like
Gotcha. That's all I needed to know, because that tells me Kris McDonough, she's not carrying that for a walk in the woods.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all BS. All this business about her walking into the woods with this big, huge battery charger. No, that didn't happen. So what did happen?
You're right.
Am I making any sense here?
So
Hit me, Kris.
You're right on.
So there was also, I've spoken to a lot of the people that have saw her and interacted with her out there leading up to her disappearance. And one thing that is clear is that she had a large disagreement right before disappearing with the owner of the property that she was staying on, where voices were raised and it got very heated. And I have confirmation from somebody, the other person that was living on the property. She heard it from the inside of the homestead, and she heard Shayna's voice trail off as Shayna walked into the woods. But she did not physically see my sister walk into the woods. And the owner of the property says that she walked into the woods. Also, the assumption is that she had her phone. Neither the woman that was on the property, or the landlord confirmed that they physically saw it in her hand when she walked off of the property.
Are you saying they did not see it in her hand, her cell phone, or what?
They did not physically see it. So the assumption is when she grabbed the charger and the charging cord, that the assumption was that she had her phone when she walked into the woods, because why else would you need a battery charger and a cord if you didn't have your phone to charge?
Okay, did anybody actually see her walk into the woods? Because I find this very odd that someone hears an argument between her and the owner of the property, and then her voice trails off as she walks into the woods, but they didn't see her walk into the woods. Do I have that much right, Kara?
The property owner, when they had that disagreement, he says that he saw her physically walk off into the woods. But the other woman
carrying this giant battery.
Yeah, with the giant battery, but the other woman on the property she wasn't able to see it because she was inside, but she heard Shayna's voice trail off. And so her assumption was that the landlord was telling the truth and that she walked into the woods, and that's why her voice had trailed off.
Okay, so this woman goes missing on a 40-acre plot after an argument with the owner of the property. Is that right, Kara?
That's correct.
Okay, I need everybody to jump in on this. Kris McDonough, this story doesn't sound right. When the police, the local sheriffs are saying something's not right, that's correct. It doesn't make sense to me. She would have an argument with the owner of the property and then just walk off into the woods carrying this giant charger. That doesn't make sense. She would have to be going somewhere to plug that in or to use it in some way. If she was using it, she would have her cell phone or some other device that she would be charging. She didn't. So that didn't happen. So we've got the wrong facts. Now, jump ahead. Why do we have the wrong facts? Who's giving me incorrect information? And more important, why, Kris?
Yeah, so we'd have to start with that landlord or the property owner. We'd have to sit down with that individual and say, hey, this stuff's just not lining up. So I think we'd want to know how cooperative he's been since he's given a statement. And then you're 1,000% right, Nancy. I mean, the fact that she's a survivalist, she's done this before. She has an argument with somebody, so she decides, you know what, I'll just grab the phone charger, i.e. the car charger, and just carry it into the woods with me. And then later that thing surfaces, and her dog is still there. One thing that I would think would be really interesting is to take her dog back to that property, because the dog will be able to scent her. A lot of times we rely on cadaver dogs and that kind of stuff, but we forget that the owner's dog themselves can find that owner. And this may be one of those cases where the sheriff's department may want to consider that.
What more do we know? Listen.
Friends notified the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, and an investigation is launched with dogs searching the 40-acre property with no luck finding the 35-year-old. They haven't found the cell phone they know she took into the woods, but the charger box she also took showed back up 3 days later. Shayna Feinman has been in a relationship. The sheriff's office has set up a tip line, and they're asking the public for help. If you know anything about the whereabouts of Shayna Feinman, please call the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office at 928-771-3260.
I want to understand one more critical piece of the puzzle, Kira. With me is Kira Feinman. This is Shayna's sister. That, as I'm saying, huge. What I mean by huge is this is not something you would carry on a walk or a hike. No way. I'm an avid camper. Never would you drag that around. If anything, I would have carried a solar charger. It's like this big, like a deck of cards. If I had to carry a charger, but without her phone or any other device, why carry a charger into the woods? None of it's making sense. But what I want to find out is that, I'll call it a battery charger, for lack of a better term. It was discovered 3 days later, and you've been given various locations as to where it was found?
Correct. The person that discovered that was her partner. And when it was discovered, for some reason, it did not draw concern enough for him to make a police report, for him to search for her, for him to reach out to anybody. It showed back up, and everything, his life just kept going, and my sister was still missing.
Where did they tell you? I think I heard you say him. Is the partner a him or a her?
It's a he. It's a man.
It's a him. Okay. Did he find the charger?
Yes, he did.
He found it 3 days later. Now, if my husband, I hadn't seen him in 3 days, and I find his charger laying by the side of the road, I'd be concerned. Are you telling me that he did not report that for 3 days? I couldn't, what?
He did not bring that to light until the person that was watching her dog made the police report, and the police had questioned him. It came to light later. He didn't feel like it was pertinent to share right away.
Curious. But in stressful situations, it's my understanding that people do all kind of wacky things like, oh, I found this, but not connect it to the fact that she disappeared. Who heard her or saw her walk into the woods? The property owner?
The property owner saw her. The other woman that was living on the property heard her voice trail off, but did not see her.
And did you ever narrow down where that charger was found? Did you ever get to the truth of where it was found?
I have not. Unfortunately, her partner is no longer cooperating with law enforcement, and he has retained a lawyer.
What did you just say?
her partner is no longer cooperating with law enforcement, and he has retained a lawyer, which is extremely concerning. Also, some other odd things have come to light that he was supposed to meet my sister about 2 hours after she went missing on the night of March 9th, and she didn't show up. He tried to call her phone, and it went straight to voicemail. And then he went back to the 40-acre parcel to look for her, supposedly. I don't have confirmation that he actually did or did not. But when he didn't find her, she didn't show up where they were supposed to be meeting. 3 days later, the charging pack she walked into the woods with shows up. Why is there not more concern? Why was he not?
What are sheriffs doing now to find her? Do we know? Nicole Parton, Dave Mack, Kira Feinman, what do we know sheriffs are doing right now to find her?
They're asking for they're asking community leaders to send in tips. They're asking for anybody that's seen anything, thinks anything, knows anything to contact the sheriff's office. And that's about where it's ending.
No, that's
right
not
now.
what I'm talking about, Dave Mack. Of course, what you said is correct, but I'm saying, has the 40 acres been searched? Have they used drones? Have they searched any bodies of water? Have they put up flyers? Have they brought in scent dogs? Have they brought in cadaver dogs? What are they doing? Anybody know?
So they have searched the property. Search and rescue went out and they brought cadaver dogs and they searched the entire 40-acre parcel. No sign of her was found. And I'm hoping that they're getting plans in the works to search some surrounding areas to keep it going. I believe they are trying to get a helicopter up to search the area with thermal imaging. And they are following some leads and trying to do everything that they can.
Not that they need me to tell them what to do, but all of the people living on that property, be it the boyfriend, the owner of the property, the dog watcher, other people that may live there, the squatters, number one, nobody's a suspect and everybody's a suspect. I want to get all their phone pings. I want to get their nav systems. Where were they at the time she went missing? Follow it. I find it very unlikely that in a rural area such as this, it's basically a 40-acre commune, that a stranger would come by and snatch her and there would be no sign of her. She did not go on her own. She did not go camping. She always tells people where she's going when she goes camping, and she wouldn't have gone with nothing but a giant battery pack. Tip line 928-771-3260. This woman is missing. What if this was your sister or your daughter? Wouldn't you want us to help? 928-771-3260.